Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. Hope you guys enjoyed the content being put out on this channel lately. I just saw Eternals. I saw Eternals today, earlier this morning, and I have thoughts. Where do we start? Because I'm just gonna dive right in. Um, okay, so first things first. I was pretty surprised by the rating for Eternals because typically in Marvel films, MCU movies, they usually get, a bunch of praise and a bunch of love from critics and audience members. Uh, and I usually fall into the minority camp. I don't usually love Marvel movies. You guys know from my channel, I'm not really huge on Marvel films like I used to. I really believe the peak for the MCU was Civil War, in my particular opinion. And then since then, it kind of fell to this standard level, this mediocre level, and it's just been kind of hanging there since. Um, so, because since then I've just been kind of just like, yeah, like meh on the movies. Um, like I didn't love Shang-Chi. Everyone else apparently likes it. I thought it was Marvel's most inconsistent movie in my opinion. I just thought the pacing of it just really did not work for me. I thought Black Widow was the most unnecessary film that the MCU ever made. I don't know why we needed a Black Widow movie, and the movie still cannot justify itself to me. So, and also I wasn't a big fan of the shows. I thought WandaVision was fine. Thought Falcon and Winter Soldier was a little problematic. But Loki was the one thing that I really enjoyed out of this new phase that Marvel's been doing. I really enjoyed Loki. That's the one thing that I really liked, like genuinely really liked. So, so walking into Eternals, um, I didn't know what to think. I heard it was different, and I mean they say that people say that all the time with Marvel movies. They're always saying like it's so different, it's so different, and they said that with Shang-Chi. I didn't see that. They said that with Black Widow. I didn't see that. They said that with Black Panther. I didn't see that. It was just I always see the same formula being implemented into these movies, and it just gets redundant for me, and I just kind of lose interest. Like I'm not even joking. I went like during the Shang-Chi. I think I went to the bathroom and I told myself I could probably walk out of here and come back and I could still know what's going on. Um, or at least I don't think that the movie has moved as much, or I think that we're probably still sitting on a scene for too long. And I was right. Like there was like a big action sequence that happens, and I came back and we were still in that action sequence. I was just like, can we move the movie forward a little bit? And then it does, and then it gets too quick. It just the pacing is very inconsistent. It makes the movie very um, at some points like a little intolerable for me. Um, but anyways, getting into Eternals, um, I was very surprised to hear that I think right now it has like a 49% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't care about Rotten Tomato scores. That doesn't really apply to my viewing. It's kind of an interesting thing to look at, but yeah, typically like these movies, like what they get like 80s and 90 percentages. This one has like a 49%, so I was very surprised. And then I go look online to see some of the responses, and a lot of those hardcore fans, some people online that I know that are pretty hardcore Marvel fans, even they were kind of mediocre on it. Um, they were just kind of like, whatever. So before I went in to see Eternals, knowing that that was the critical response, I actually thought to myself, this might be the one that I actually like, um, because as I laid out earlier, I'm always in the minority, and sure enough, I actually found myself in some manner enjoying Eternals. I thought it was in some ways entertaining. There's obviously a lot of issues with it, which we'll get into, but a simple yay or nay, I would say yay. Like it had some charm. I thought it was entertaining. Um, but there are some issues which we'll get into right now. I'm just gonna pull up my notes here real quick. Um, uh, but I didn't hate it. I shocked myself because I typically just don't love Marvel movies. I'm kind of burnt out with them at this point. because I don't mind, like, it's weird because my relationship with Marvel Studios is like it's always been like troublesome because it's not like I hate the movies. I don't mind watching them, but I just get irritated due to the formulaic approaches that they keep utilizing like over and over and over again. So I was really kind of taken aback a little bit when I stepped into Eternals because um, the really the one reason why I like Eternals more than other movies in the MCU is for just this one reason. It actually feels different. Like like it's hindered by familiar mechanics for sure. Like the first act is definitely your typical MCU film, but then it gets to its second and third act, and it still is bathing in those familiarities, but it's how they utilize them, and like you feel a little bit um, you don't feel like you're kind of stepping into an MCU film, and I really like that. I like that I'm not I like that I'm not stepping into something that I that I've that I've seen like 20 times over. I'm finally stepping into a Marvel movie and going, okay, cool, this is different. This is something a little bit fresh, and fresh for this franchise. And I really appreciate that. Um, and um, I like the commitment for trying for some resonance. That's the key word, trying, because we'll get to my issues soon. Um, but I think that the best way to describe Eternals, in my opinion, is that it's a tonally driven movie. It's not a character driven movie. It's a tonally driven film because the tone is what keeps you interested the whole time and keeps you invested. Um, and because I love this calming yet moody atmosphere that Chloe Zhao chose to do. Um, I thought it complemented the film, the story well. And also the score. I thought the score was quite inviting and welcoming. Um, and it tries to pull for the emotions. And just speaking strictly on a music level, it kind of does. I mean, narratively, not really, but from a music point of view, it does work, surprisingly enough. Um, but as I laid out, I think it's tonally the best. Tonally speaking, Eternals works to an extent. But then you get to the characters, you get to see the Eternals themselves, and that's where the issues start to show up because the characterization, unfortunately, is very one-dimensional. Like there's a lot of memes and obvious comparisons to these characters, particularly Richard Madden. There's a lot of Superman stuff, and the movie makes it a point to bring that up. But it feels like kind of like a like I don't know, like when that joke popped up, I was just like, yeah, like that's what he is. It didn't feel like it was like, oh, it doesn't seem like he's kind of Superman-ish. No, he is Superman. Like it just felt like all the characters felt like they weren't anything but really knockoffs or cheap renditions of their clear influences. Like Richard Madden clearly is a cheaper version of Superman. Angelina Jolie's character is clearly a cheaper version of Wonder Woman. Like it's obvious. One of the characters can run really fast, so it's pretty it's obvious. They make themselves pretty obvious as to where they were influenced from, and they don't really have a lot of personalities. Um, to be really, again, they're just kind of one dimensional. One of them's the stoic one of them's the chosen one of them's the fast one. Like it's kind of in terms of their development. Um, Generally speaking, the writing is very hollow. Um, it's like one of those situations where the person thinks that they're speaking big, but they're actually speaking really common. It also didn't help that there were 4 writers on this movie. That when that credit popped up, I was just like, oh, there's your problem because there's 4 writers on this movie. Too many cooks in the kitchen, and you can feel it because they were really trying to they're really trying to amplify like this epic grand scale and like similar to Dune almost, where it was just like there's Eternals is trying to go for that epic grand scale, and the story is trying to be this huge time spanning uh, narrative, but really, um, it boils down to themes and ideas that are pretty simple, and the movie's trying to make itself be complex, but it's not. Um, and I think that the real reason why the movie doesn't hit its mark, I believe, is the structure, because the way that they tell their story is they jump from the past to the present and then back again and then back again and then we go to this over here. It's just the structure is playing a, in my opinion, a very troubling form of storytelling. I've always found it troubling. Um, personally, I felt that if the movie was more chronological, that we just saw it start in the past and then it progresses to the present, and we just saw all these events play out, I think that that actually would have benefited a lot more and played a lot more emotionally. And from a development standpoint, I feel like we would have gotten um, uh, uh, a lot more connections with the characters. Um, so, because as it stands, how it's structured, it's like all the characters, oddly enough, feel undermined and underutilized, especially our main lead, Gemma Chang. I'm not going to spoil anything, but there's an element uh, that is given to her early on in the film, and I can't tell you why she gets it and why I should care. Like it just kind of just pops out of nowhere. Like, oh yeah, you're now this, and it's just like, oh, okay, cool. Um, I don't know, like I never saw. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but you know what I mean when I say that Gemma Chan's character gets a particular item. I'll just put it that way, from another character. That's all I'll say. I just never felt that she earned that thing. It just felt kind of like out of left field, um, and kind of like just a thing to move the story forward. It didn't feel like the character really earned her place to having that thing. Um, and Salma Hayek, why is she in the movie? Like, really, like her whole purpose. This is not a spoiler because it's in like featurettes and stuff, so it's not a spoiler. I mean, she's the leader of the Eternals, but that's really it. I mean, she serves no purpose but leadership. I mean, that's really it. She's just the leader, um, and she has very small screen time too. Like she's not a key player in all this, and really, she could have been put into like one sequence. Really, like that's really it. Um, Or again, I think that if they changed the structure a little bit, I feel like that we would have had a lot more understanding as to why these characters need to be here, because there's a lot of characters in this movie, and I think that that's also the other big problem is that there's so many characters that you have to develop, and I feel as though we only got like they're half cooked almost. Um, what's like the two standouts in my opinion were what was their names? Hold on. It was dang it, what's their name? I have it on my notes. Hold on. Kumail Najani. I thought he was pretty charismatic, and Lauren Ridloff. She was absolutely adorable in the film. I really enjoyed her presence. Every time she popped up on screen, I was just like, yeah, I really like her. Um, she's also the first, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the first deaf superhero, which is awesome. Um, and I thought she rocked it. I thought she did an excellent job. Really enjoyed her in the film. Even though she had some small screen time, when she was there, she really stood out. And she's a supporting player, so she doesn't have a lot of screen time. But I was surprised by how, well, not surprising, considering the other performances. We'll get to those in a second, um, but considering how much screen time she had compared to the other Eternals, it was surprising and really cool to see that she stood out, you know, um, and that she was one of the standouts of the film, because the main characters that we follow, Gemma Chan, Richard Madden, forgot the other guy's name, uh, I just their performances are a little spotty for me, especially Gemma Chan. Like she doesn't emote that much in the film. Richard Madden, I would say he does the most. He's the most expressive of the Eternals, um, but everyone else just feels like they're kind of just like, eh, you know. Angelina Jolie also like there was one time she had to cry, and I was just like, not really good. So the performances beyond Kumail and Lauren um, were kind of spotty. Um, but and also there's also again, no spoilers. There's also a twist that I felt was very unnecessary. It involves one of the Eternals. Not a big spoiler when I say that there's a revelation of sorts with someone in the group. I won't say who it was, but um, I just felt it was very unnecessary because one of the other problems that the story has is that there's a lot of things going on. They had to set up the Eternals themselves, and then they had to set up the Deviants, the bad guys, and then they had to set up where do the Eternals come from. And they show you the Celestials, and then they show you, and then they throw in this twist, which I just felt was just kind of like an add-on. Like it was just like, okay, we should do something with Richard Madison's character. Let's just do this. Uh, I just spoiled it. Sorry. Uh, I won't spoil what it was, but it was like a revelation of sorts. So, um, sorry for anybody who was watching the review and you're just like, you just said Richard Madden. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Um, I didn't say what it was. Um, so, um, but there's a twist with Richard Madden's character. I'll just say that. Um, it felt very unnecessary. And again, I felt that if the structure was more chronological, I felt that maybe that twist um, would have been more. How do I say it? More. There would have been more weight to it. You would have felt the weight of that revelation, but you just don't. You just kind of feel like, why? Like it feels out of place. It feels out of character. Like it doesn't feel like that's something that character would do. Um, so yeah. So but even with all its flaws, even again, all those glaring issues that I just brought up, the story navigation and really the character development in general, um, the atmosphere of it, the music, the clear passion behind it, because I can tell Chloe Zhao was clearly passionate about making this film. The cast seemed passionate about it. I appreciate the diversity, by the way, in the film. Um, some foreign countries apparently don't, which that's stupid. But I personally love it. Um, and uh, above all else, the distinction of this film, which I have been saying for years with Marvel movies. Please do something different. Please, please. Eternals finally does something different, at least tonally speaking. Um, and for that, I can appreciate Eternals, and I can find myself feeling a sense of fresh air when watching it, at least to a certain degree. Um, and it's something that I haven't felt in a really long time when it comes to the films in the MCU, or just in general with the MCU. So is it great? No. Is it okay? I would say that's probably the best place to put it. It's just okay. Do I want more films like Eternals in the MCU? Yes. And is there do I think it does it do I think it could have been better? Absolutely. Do I think it's as bad as some people are putting it? No. Um, I don't think this is a terrible movie. There are some people who are like really um, ripping this film apart. I don't think it's that bad. I think fans are probably disappointed because they were expecting a more typical MCU movie, and they were expecting things to just kind of play out in a certain way. Um, I'm all for the new direction that they're trying to do. At least if this is, you know, if Eternals is a an indication of what is to come, tonally speaking, like we're going to get more diverse films and more distinction amongst the MCU films. I'm all for it. But if this was just kind of like a one-time thing, then I'm gonna be a little upset. Um, so if they do an Eternals 2, which I feel like they might, depending on just because I don't think the bad reception's gonna, I don't think it's gonna, you know, detract them or uh, put them in a position where they're just like, let's not do Eternals 2. I think they're going to do an Eternals 2 because it seems like for the box office this weekend is going to be pretty good. Um, and I would be interested if they do an Eternals 2. So, and that's a rare thing for me to say because I'm not really that excited for MCU movies nowadays. Like I'm not really excited for Spider-Man. I'm interested, but not really that excited. If they do an Eternals 2, I'm game. I'm game to see what they do. So, um, but yeah, I didn't hate it. I'm surprised. I'm surprised because I'm usually in the minority, and I still am in the minority. But yeah, I was a bit surprised with myself because it was the first time in a long time that I actually thought an MCU movie was kind of entertaining, you know? Um, so yeah, it is definitely has a lot of flaws as we address, but the commitment to a new direction and um, to a tone that is completely different from the other MCU movies. That is where I find myself enjoying Eternals, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. You know, I think that's the best way to put it. I didn't like it. I mean, I didn't love it, but I liked it. I liked it. Atmospherically speaking, I thought it would, if that's even a word. Tonally speaking, let's put it that way. Tonally speaking, I had a decent time with it. Um, but certainly, narratively speaking, it has many issues. But yeah, not a perfect movie. Not really a good movie. Just okay. Okay. Better than Shang-Chi, in my opinion, but better than Black Widow. Just my personal opinion. Um, I think it's I wouldn't say it's one of the better films in the MCU, but in terms of lately, I would say it's probably one of the better films. So yeah, so that's my thoughts on Eternals. I liked it, didn't love it, but I liked it more than Shang-Chi and Black Widow. So there you go. So you guys have it. What do you guys think about Eternals? Kind of a divisive response for Eternals, but um, at least online it seems it's pretty divisive. What did you guys think of Eternals? Did you guys love it? Did you guys hate it? What do you guys think? Where does it rank on the MCU scale for you? Uh, I'm gonna sit on it for a minute just to see where it falls for me. But yeah, that's it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope to see you guys in the next video. My next video will be hopefully a review for Spencer. I am really excited for Spencer. That's the Princess Diana biopic. Really excited to see how that turns out. I'm hearing some really good things about it. So, um, but yeah, guys, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed my review. See ya.